So we're going to be working on some egg mobiles, just so we can get the chickens out of the hoop house. They're winter housing, and we're going to be building those out of wood, cattle panels, and some used billboard signage.
And a panel between them.
Okay.
And just to see how tall that hoop is, between 8 feet.
So you're basically just trying to see how high the overall hoop is going to be, so to know how much to raise it.
I'm wondering if we need to raise it if it's 8 feet wide. If we do 2 at 8 feet wide that aren't raised, that might be better.
So here we're just building a frame with 2x4s, and we're making this 8x10. So it's going to be 8 foot wide by 10 foot deep. And so we just have to screw each of the corners together. I believe we're using 2 screws per corner. And just flipping the 2x4s up on end there to make it so it's tall instead of laying flat. It just comes up 4 inches there. And just do this at each corner. And then we have to install the cattle panel, and we have to do this one panel at a time. And we basically just stick one end of the cattle panel on the inside of our frame that we built, and we pull up in the middle there, and that creates our arc by sticking the other end right on the inside of the frame on the other side. And then we just take some fence staples and we pound them in. We did about, I believe, 5 or 6 per side, per panel. And they are a bit challenging to, get pounded in without popping out, because they keep just trying to pop out. So it's best if you have somebody helping you install the panels, and one person can be on the outside, one person can be on the inside of the frame, and just basically steady the panel, and you can put a little pressure on the wood, and then the person who's pounding in the nails will have a better chance of getting the staples to go in, because there'll be a little bit of sturdiness there, so the wood just doesn't bounce back at you. And the staples are quite a challenge to put in, for sure. I think we used 1.5 inch, 2 inch staples for this project. And here we go installing the second panel. Now this one is a little bit of a challenge because there are little nubs on the end of the cattle panels there that can run into each other and grab you when you're trying to grab the panel. And so we just carefully lifted up the panel again, trying not to catch the other panel while we were lifting. We're short about 16 inches of panel, so we determined that we did need to cut another piece to fit in that open section, just because the tractor is 8 feet wide but 10 feet long, and our billboard that we're going to be using is 10 feet wide, so we did need that extra of the cattle panel to make up the difference for the 10 feet. We need to move the structure closer to the shop because we are going to be welding it. So it needs to be moved closer so the welder could reach it. And there's me discovering that it's pretty heavy. So at this point we started to brainstorm of what we could do to easily move this because it is heavy and it will be up in the field. So we devised a plan of the stuff that we would install to make it a little easier to move. So I just basically checked the nubs to make sure that they lined up so we could easily weld them. So then here I am just cutting the 16-inch piece that we do need to install, and Adam welded every single nub here just to make sure that the cattle panels were nice and sturdy. And then he took and bent all of the arc pieces of conduit to match the arc of the cattle panel, and he used our bootstrap farmer bender. I believe it's a 6-footer. And basically he's just welding that conduit onto the arc there, and he is welding it in the middle of the peak where the two pieces match, and he will weld at every single point down the cattle panel arc. And he did put screws in the conduit when it because it comes down to the inside of the frame there, and he does screw 2 screws per conduit piece into the wood just to ensure that that is nice and secure also. And this welding part is pretty time consuming, again because he does weld every single little nub together with the neighboring cattle panel and the conduit arcs that he installs on the front and back of this tractor or eggmobile. Here he's testing the sturdiness of the arc of the eggmobile, making sure he did a good job, which he did a really good job. Nice and sturdy. And then I decided that I was going to install 6-foot tall chicken wire fence along the back, and then I did an additional 2-foot section of chicken wire along the whole base of the structure just to ensure that it was nice and predator proof. And for the back there I did a double layer. I had the 6-foot tall on the hoop structure, and then I attached the 2-foot tall section of chicken wire right to the other chicken wire in addition to the cattle panels and conduit. And I just used I believe it's a fence hog wing stapler, and I used my multi-tool just to cinch down those staples there, and I put a lot of staples in just to ensure that it was nice and secure. Wanted to have that extra layer of predator proofing.
Basically, I just took hog rings here, hog clips, cinched them on there, and then I went through with my multi-tool and just cinched them down a little more so it was a little tighter. And then this is just 2-foot poultry netting, and this netting on the end is actually 6-foot tall. So that was like perfect height for the back there. And so it's all one sheet, and then I just did the double layer on the back with the 2-footer too, just so it's reinforced a little bit. And then right along the side here, The hoop structure itself on this, we actually used 2 hog panels bent to 8 foot wide, and then we did a 16-inch piece, I believe, cut off another one, and we just welded them together along. Also, we welded them to this bent conduit pipe. Adam bent 2 sections to meet the arc bar. And we built an 8 by 10 frame. So now we just have to add the billboard vinyl, and that'll be their cover on top. We'll add a door, and then I'll put more chicken wire along the front, yeah, then it'll be good to go in the field. And then the chickens can get out of the hoop house so we can plant in there.
We built the door out of conduit and chicken wire, and then we installed nesting box, 5-gallon pail nesting boxes in the back of the structure. And the billboard vinyl on top. Here's all the girls. Jackson. He's our Tom Turkey. Loving life out in the field. They love being out on pasture. And our electric poultry netting works like a charm. We do have it hooked up right to the pig fence, the pig electric fence. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment because that does help, and share our videos.